Hi, it's Darren from Little Athletics New South Wales. Today, I'm going to show you some ways that we can introduce shot put to beginners in a fun, safe and effective way. We're going to talk about some broad shot putting concepts that I'm going to relate to a pirate ship, which you and the kids are going to love. We'll talk about some basic rules, some basic safety. I'm going to show you how I think we can start kids in the shot and then progress them. And we'll also talk about some common faults that kids make. When it comes to coaching shot or introducing shot, it's useful to have some ground markers, some hoops or something else as a target to make it fun for the kids, and also some shots or some modified shots. Let's talk about some basic shot putting rules. The first one I want to mention is that when entering the circle, you can enter the circle from any direction, including stepping on or over the stop board. There's a misconception that you need to enter from the back half of the circle, but you can enter it from any direction. However, when you leave the circle, you must exit from the back half of the circle. Secondly, there are some rules that govern where the shot starts and how you deliver that shot. So the rules say that the shot must be held close to or within the vicinity of the neck or chin. And it also says that when delivering the shot, that shot cannot be dropped below that position or pulled back behind the line of the shoulders. The Little Athletics rules say that as long as the shot is delivered in a forward motion, even if the head turns and creates a small gap between the shot and the neck, that is okay, as long as the shot is not pulled back or dropped. But something else to be aware of is that the shot must be delivered from entirely within the circle. And let's also now bring in the pirate ship scenario. So let's think about the circle as a pirate ship. So once you are on the ship, having entered it from any direction, you must complete the throw from on the ship. So you can't touch the surface outside the circle. You can't touch the top of the stop board or the safety barrier of the ship. You are allowed to touch the inside of the stop board. Finally, the shot must land after being delivered entirely within the sector. On the line is out. If any part of the shot touches the line, then that is considered a foul throw. The shot must land entirely within the sector without touching either of the sector lines. Some basic safety things that you're going to want to remember when you're teaching shot to kids. Number one, keep the implements out of reach from the kids when they're not being used so they can't be handled or played with. Number two, make sure you have a clearly defined landing area so that the kids know where the shots are supposed to land. Maybe even mark it out. Number three, make sure that you use a throwing and retrieval signal. What that means is no child is allowed to throw the shot until you have given the signal, and no child is allowed to go out and collect the shot until you have told them to do so. So get them into the practice of, once they've thrown the shot, they stand there and wait until you give the signal to go and collect it. And finally, if you're teaching multiple children shot put at the same time, to stop them from having to wait for their go, you might like to line them up so they're throwing shots next to each other. But you do have to make sure that they are far enough apart so there's no chance of any child being struck by a shot. I recommend at least 2 meters between throwers who are lined up side by side. Let's talk about how we might start and progress kids in the shot. I like as a starting point to do lots of two-handed pushing action with the kids, where you have them holding an object, a ball, a modified shot, 2 hands behind the shot, elbows up, thumbs pointing down, palms pointing forward, and they're pushing from their chest, from a standing, a kneeling, a 1 foot forward, 1 foot back position. It's a great activity to teach them how to keep their elbows up and push a shot away from them. Now, to start to teach the kids that one arm shot putting action, let's introduce that pirate ship scenario again. We're going to use the commands ready, aim, and fire. Now, there are two parts to getting ready. The first part to getting ready is to get the grip correct. Now, while there is no rule as to how you should hold the shot, the best way to hold the shot is to sit it on the base of your fingers with your forefingers and thumbs spread around the shot, leaving a bit of a gap so that we can still see the palm here. You may notice that that looks like an ice cream scoop sitting in a cone, and that's a great way to describe it to kids. Now, once you've got that grip pretty well correct, we need to teach the kids where to place the shot up against their neck. Now, I often start teaching this without the shot in their hand. I ask them to put their hands up in an I didn't do it type position. And from there, I get them to wave their throwing hand at me. I'm a right-hander, so that's the hand that I'm waving here. From there, I get them to drop their hand down towards their neck so the fingers are pointing in towards the windpipe and the thumb is pointing towards the collarbone. And that puts them in a pretty good position as to where the shot should be held. Elbow up, thumb down, and palm forward. So once we've got them okay with that ready command, we move on to the aim command. Now, the aim command involves them in this ready position with the shot up against their neck. Now, to aim, they should be aiming their finger or their hand in the direction of the throw. They should be looking where they want to throw, belly button aiming in the position of the throw. And I actually start them off by getting their feet aimed in the direction of the throw with both feet pointing forward, either from a parallel or a staggered position. So that position I just showed you with feet pointing forward may not be the same as what you've seen a lot of people teach, because traditionally kids are taught to stand side on in the shot. I think to simplify it and to make it easy for beginners, get them to start facing everything forward, because that is where we want them to end up. So we've gone through the ready command, we've gone through the aim command, and of course now we have to deliver the shot or fire that cannon. So the idea will be on the fire command, when you tell the athlete to throw, they push the shot out in a very forceful manner. Their hand chases the shot. While they're doing that, they need to keep their elbow up and their thumb down as they push the shot off their fingers. If they drop the elbow, it's likely that the shot will fall away from their neck, causing a foul throw. Finally, once the kids have got that front-on standing throw position fairly consistent and the arm action going okay, and they're delivering that shot in a legal way, we can start to turn the kids further away from the throwing direction to give them a bit more momentum and a bit more power in their throw. So we do start them from a side-on position, but it is important that when they throw, they turn back to that front-on position with the belly button watching where the shot lands and the eyes looking where the shot lands and the feet pointing in the direction of where the shot's going to land. Now, we've talked about there's no rule that governs how you have to hold the shot, but we did talk about an effective grip involves the shot sitting on the base of the fingers. What you want to avoid is kids who are holding the shot so the shot is touching the palm of their hand. Even though they're allowed to do this, they won't be able to launch the shot off their fingers. Alternatively, at the other extreme, we have some kids holding the shot too far up in their fingers and they'll lose control of the shot. Just rehearse that position and use the coaching cue that it looks like an ice cream scoop in a cone or even an egg sitting in an egg cup. Another common problem is athletes, kids using an ineffective starting position. It's very common to see kids standing with their front foot when they move to that side-on position slammed right up against the stop board. And that gets them very stuck. It's very hard to pivot to the front. The fix for that is just to bring them a little bit back from the stop board so that they can pivot their body and do an effective throwing action. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, a common mistake when it comes to kids, is the positioning of the elbow. Now, ideally, the elbow should be kept up and behind the shot so that it pushes it along and it helps keep the shot in against the neck. The elbow is the engine. Think about that staying behind the shot and it pushes the shot along. Many kids, when they're learning shot, will drop the elbow, and you can see what that's doing. It makes the hand pull away from the neck a little bit. It also leads to a very weak throw. The elbow up behind the shot helps you with the power of the throw. With the elbow down, there's no power behind the shot. So when it comes to throwing the shot, you use as many of your muscles and as much of the body as you can. When we throw, we use head to toe, is a good saying to remember. A lot of kids will use a very upper body dominated, implement dominated action. They will take a side on stance, won't move their feet, won't move their hips, and just throw across their body. It's just a matter of teaching them maybe firstly from that front on starting position and teaching them how to pivot and move from the side on position to the front on position when they deliver the implement. So there's some tips that will help you introduce shot put to beginners. You might remember that we talked about teaching the grip, a double arm throwing action onto a single arm throwing action from a front on position, and then gradually moving them and turning them further away from the throwing direction so that they can then use the rotation to get a bit more out of their throw. Hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope that you enjoy coaching shot put.